Alright, hello guys, well, welcome back to another day of Flourish Field Academy's Summer Camp 2026. And we started our summer camp yesterday with a very simple Scratch project titled Space Invaders. If you were with us yesterday, you would have been able to at least get started with your Space Invaders. But even if you were not, well, we can still carry on with building that. And yesterday, we were able to work on the player side of the game. As you can see on my screen, right now, if I click on the green flag, I'm able to move the player side to side, which is what I want to be able to do for the player. Although I have lives, 3 lives at the start, but as soon as lives drop to a number like 0, then I should end the game. And today we're going to continue our life by working on the rest parts of the game, starting with the player's bullet. And to do that, we'll start off with an event for the player's bullet. I'll start off by using the when green flag clicked. The reason is because I want to be able to shoot the player's bullets every single time. Although would vary the time the player bullets comes out at random by using a special variable. So that means I need a variable called speed. Would use that variable to vary the time the bullet comes out of the player. So let's create the speed variable. Make a variable speed speed, and I hit OK. Now I have the speed variable. But first, let me add that when flag clicked, I want to make sure I hide the bullet. Currently, the bullet is visible, so I want to make sure I firstly hide the bullet so it doesn't look too mechanical. So I'll look for the hide block. Where are you? There we go. So when I click the green flag, you can see the bullet gets hidden. Now, when the bullet gets hidden, that's when I want to set the speed of the bullet and also do a few more things. But first, I'll add the forever loop. As we already mentioned, we use the forever loop anytime we want to run a piece of code continuously without stop. And after that, I'll need the wait 1 second block. But like I said, we will not be waiting 1 second because that's too defined. Rather, because we've created a variable called speed here, we're going to be waiting using the speed variable. So I'll wait for speed seconds. And there we go. After that, we want the bullet to be able to go to the player because the player owns the bullet and he needs to be able to shoot them. So we need to look for another block that says go to player. Okay. Let's see what we call our player. Okay, it's called player 2. So I'm gonna say go to player 2 instead. Go to player 2. Now let us check out something. First, I'll take out the hide block so that we can see the bullet. And let's see if it truly goes to player 2. Then we can hide it again. So I'll click the green flag. And you see, it immediately goes straight to the center of player 2. If I move the player out, you should see the bullet. You see that? So now that we've confirmed that our code is working, I can go back to hiding the bullet. So now if you click the green flag, the bullet stays hidden. It is at player 2, but still stays hidden. And if you want, let me stop the clip. You can add any special sound effect. Alright? You can add the start sound shoot if you want. For me, I'll just add that. if you want, you can use a different sound. And after that, I want to show it. I want to make sure that now I'm able to see the bullet. Now I'm able to see the bullet, but at the same time, I want the bullet to constantly move from the player up. You should make that motion consistently. And another reason why we use the block of code that says go to player is because we're going to be moving the player from side to side, and you want the bullet to also maintain that motion from side to side. That's why we did that. So now let's move on to the other parts of creating the bullet. I'm going to use a control loop. Now this time I wouldn't be using the forever loop. I'll be using a special type of loop called the repeat until. Let me bring that up. I'll tell us why. Here we go. Now, the repeat until is a special type of loop that helps you continually carry out an action until a certain condition is met. That's why we have this empty space here. So we can fix our condition, whatever conditions we want here, and once that condition is satisfied, then the repeat until block would stop. But first, what do we want to repeat until? Remember, in our summer camp lesson yesterday, I explained that motion up, down is called the y direction, and left to right is called x. So because we want the bullet to move up, I want to change y. Let's look for the block that says change y. Exactly. I want to make it move upward, so I'll change y by 10, and now I can carry out my conditions. Now there are two conditions where my bullet should stop. First, if the bullet hits any of the enemies, as we saw in our demonstration earlier, then the bullet should stop. And at the same time, if the bullet gets to the edge, the bullet should stop. So for this condition, we would need a special kind of operator called an OR operator. This, the OR operator, to be able to handle the two conditions we have just mentioned. Now, I want to wait if it is touching the edge, because this is an edge, if it's touching the edge, or if it touches the enemy, then we want to stop. We want to hide it. So I'll go back to look for sensing. Yep. But I want it to be touching the edge. There we go. And at the same time, I want to check if it's also touching the enemy. So now our code says repeat until touching edge or touching the enemy, which is our condition. So that means if the bullet touches either the edge of our screen or the enemy in our screen, then we have to we'll definitely have to hide the bullet. But let's fix that for now. Okay, I want to drag this, I'll put it in, I've got to place it properly, and after that I need the hide block. I need the hide block. Where you? Here. There we go. Now I'll add the hide block here. So this should help me. As you can see, the bullet is able to go up, move. It also moves with it. As you can see, once it gets to the edge, and if you can hear the sound, the shoot sound, this is where I got it from. I hope we're able to follow through. Now, let's take one more step. Let's see. I think we can now begin to write the codes for the enemy. It's quite a long piece of code, so please do well to follow me as I explain. So to write codes for the enemy, I'll click on the enemy sprite. So now we can begin to write the codes for the enemy. And again, we'll start our code by using the when green flag click. this is the enemy sprite. We want to be able to once the green flag is clicked, we want quite a few things to happen. First, we want to be able to check the number of enemy sprites that have been hit. Remember, in our code here, we wrote a bit of condition, say if touching edge or if touching enemy. So we should be able to count the number of enemy sprites that has been hit, 1, and at the same time, we should be able to generate quite a number of enemy sprites. So follow me as we do that. So first, as we normally do, if you want to keep track of something in Scratch, the first thing we want to think about is a variable. So let's create a variable. And I'll say kills. I'm just going to call the variable kills. You can totally call that variable anything you want. Got my glasses. Alright. Now, I want to set the kills variable to 0. And I'm sure you can guess why. That is because at the initial stage, we have all the enemy sprites. None is missing. None at all. So now let's continue with the other parts of the code so that we can complete all of this today. Now for the other parts, I need our very good friend, the forever loop. And I'm sure by now we know why we need the forever loop and what it is used for. Now, inside of the forever loop, we're going to have quite a number of things. First, we're going to have a conditional statement to check for the number of kills being equal to 0. Now, that means if there are no kills, we want to do certain things. Alright? So first, we'll go to the operators. And I'll bring my equal to operator. This time, I want to check if the number of kills is equal to 0. Is equal to 0. After that, I can go to a particular position where I want my enemy sprite to get started from. Now, of course, I don't want it to start from 71 and 36. I already practiced that, but for you to check that, you can make sure your enemy sprite is visible and you can drag it to any position that you want it to be. But for me, I think I already have a position in mind. Negative 220 for X, negative 220 for X, and 140 for Y. 140 for Y. That is where I want my enemy sprite to spawn. Next, we're gonna hide. The hide block seems to be hidden. Okay, here we go. Now let's quickly take a look at our costumes. I think I have this one. Okay, this is the costume. This is another one. There we go. So now our next step would be to change our costume to the first one. So I'll look for the block that says change costume or switch costume. Not change costume, but switch costume to this one, costume 1. And I'll attach that there. And still inside of our if block, I want to repeat certain things. Now I want to have 4 rows and 10 columns of enemy sprites. Again, 4 rows and 10 columns of enemy sprites. So to do that, I'm going to repeat a few times. Alright? So just follow me as we do that. We can find the repeat block here, and I'll add that in. First, let's do for the rows, that's 4. And at the same time, I want to do some things for the column. Yep. So 4 rows and 10 columns. Now I want to do something for the columns. I want to expand the columns horizontally. So to do that, I'll need a block that says create a clone of myself, or rather create clone of myself. You can also still find that in the looks, or rather in the controls section. So inside the repeat 10, that's where I have the block that says create clone of myself. Then when I create those clones, if I don't move them from one side to the other, they'll all be created one on top of each other. And when you look at it, you might think you have only one sprite. However, the clones have been created. So in order to spread them out, remember we said horizontal spacing is called the X, while vertically it's called Y. So we want to spread it horizontally. So that means we're going to change X by a certain random number. So let's go look for the block that says change X. We have to look for it. Yep. So let's say change X by 10. Let's make it quite large. Maybe 10 is small. Let's make it say 40. There you go. And for the repeat 4, we have to do something similar. But instead of changing X, we're going to change Y. But make sure that you change by equal values. So I'll look for change Y. Yeah, I have to be very careful so that you place it correctly. You have to be absolutely careful so that you don't get confused. So I'll say minus 40. This is for the repeat 4. It is inside the repeat 4, not inside your if statement. So it is inside the repeat 4. Now, at the same time, I want to set a position for it. So I'll set a start position for it as this one. So I'm going to set X to minus 220. Again, inside the repeat 4. So I need to change this. Minus, is that negative? Oops, I'm sure it is. This is minus, yeah, 220. There we go. Now, we're still not done. We're still not done. Now we still need to put, or rather broadcast some messages still inside of our if statement. Remember, we're not done with our if statements yet. We still need to broadcast some messages. I'm going to broadcast about 2. Say attack, to tell the enemy sprite to attack, and maybe we'll call it level, maybe level 1, second message. So let's do that together. I'm going to go to events and I'll look for broadcast message. There we go. Now I'm going to broadcast this message here. Now this is directly inside my if statement. I hope you can see it. It's directly inside my if statement, but I don't want to broadcast the feed. I want to broadcast another one. Instead, I'll broadcast attack. Attack here. And I'm going to also do another one. I'm just going to call this one level 1. Although our game has just one level. So just level 1. And there we go. Now, at this point, we gotta change the value of kills by 1. Remember, when we started, the value of kills was 0. We have to increment the value of kills at this point. So I have to do that as well. Here we go. I'm going to scroll down. Now that we have incremented the value of kills by 1, we also have to check how many kills we have created. Now let's think about it. Remember earlier, let me zoom in a little so that you can see my screen. Now earlier, when we created our repeat, we said we had 10 columns and 4 rows. That makes a total of 40 enemy sprites. So we now have to write another condition to tell our sprites, our game, to at least stop if we've been able to kill all of the enemy sprites. So let's do that together. To do that, I'll need another conditional. I'll need another if then block directly inside the forever loop. Now in this if then block, I'm going to try to look if kills. Now instead of equal to 40, I'll say equals 41 because I have 1 and then I clone 40 extra. So I'm going to say if kills equals 41. There you go. If kills equals 41, then you want to stop every other script in the sprite. That means you're able to defeat all the enemy sprites, and you also want to do a few more things. So let's do that together. We'll look for the block that says stop other scripts in the sprite. That's what I'm looking for. Where is it? Can be quite tricky to look for sometimes. Yeah, here we go. Instead of stop all, I want to stop other scripts in the sprite. And if you want, you can also play another sound. Right? I'm going to add this sound. Say sound's called level clear. That's the title of my sound. If you can see it, of course, as is usual, you can always use any sound of your choice, and at the same time, you want to reset the value of both kills, and you also want to change the value of speed so that once it hits one enemy, the speed at which it releases the bullet will always change, so you're not able to predict it. Now let's add set kills to 0 here and change speed. What value should we change speed by? It definitely has to be a negative value, so let's say negative 0.1. That's what came to my mind. You can always test other values as well. So I'm going to say negative 0.1. There you go. Now, we're still not done because so far we've written the codes that happens when we start or when we click on the green flag. But in between, did you notice that we had some broadcast message and at the same time we created a clone? Now usually in Scratch, when you create a clone, you are expected to also define what happens when that clone has been created. Because for now, all we have done is just this. As you can see, we're able to control the speed variables. It doesn't at the same time, but we still need to be able to define what happens when we start as a clone. As you can see now, I can't see my enemy sprite because it's hidden. So when we start as a clone, I would love it to be shown, and a few more other things should happen. So I'm going to create a bit more space on my screen. Pardon me. So that we can have this block of code. So now I'm going to add the block that says when I start as a clone. That's another type of event. Remember, we've always been using the when green flag clicked, but for this event we're going to be using when I start as a clone because we want to react to our clone, the clones we created earlier in our code for the enemy. So I'll look for the block that says when I start as a clone. I start as a clone. Yeah, there we go. So I found it. It says when I start as a clone, first thing I want to do is I want to show it. I want it to be visible. So I need to also look for the show block, and here we go. I think I still need a little bit more space. So now I'll need my forever loop, which is my very good friend, and again I'm sure we all know what happens when we use the forever loop. Now right in the forever loop we're gonna have some conditions to be able to control what happens when the enemy starts as a clone, because right now it starts as a clone, it shows up as you can see, but we don't have so much control. At the same time we want to be able to not just show it, but also move it from side to side. So let's try to do that. Now I'll need a conditional, and this time I want to check if it's touching the player's bullet so that I can increase the amount of kills. Alright, so I'll say if touching the player's bullet, I'm trying to bring this here for us to see clearly. If touching the player's bullet, then we want to, of course, we want to increase the number of kills. But again, at this point, you can also attach a sound, any sound of your choice. So let's just add one. It's optional, totally optional. So I'm gonna add this sound. We already used level clear. Let me just use a different sound. Say 6. I don't know what it sounds like, but it should be fair enough. And now we can change the value of kills by 1. There you go. We've changed the value of kills by 1. Now inside of this if block we need another condition so that we can also change score. But this time we don't need just an if then condition. We're going to be needing an if then else condition. So this is so that we can react to both when something happens and also control what happens if we don't satisfy that condition. So first let's look for the if then else block. Pretty, yeah, here we go. I'm gonna put it inside. Now I want to say first let's create a variable. I'm going to create another variable called score to keep track of score. I think I just created this and I hit OK. Now I have a variable called score. So I'm going to say if costume number is equal to 1, then I want to change the score by say 200. If not, I want to change it by say 100. So let's do that together. I'll look for the operations and I'm gonna look for costume number. It should be somewhere here. Costume. Wow. Let's look for it together. It can be pretty difficult to find. I have to look very carefully. Should be somewhere in the motion section. Yep, there we go. If costume number is equal to 1, then we want to change our score variable by a large number. Say the score variable, we want to change it by say 200. Else, we want to change the same score variable by a smaller one. By a smaller one, say 100. Now, we have to wait a few seconds so that it doesn't look too mechanical before we delete the clone, because we have to delete the clone. So I'll look for the control and ask for it to wait a few seconds, and should be wait for, let's say it should be something really small, say 0.1 or 0.2. Then we add the block that says delete this clone. Scroll down again to give us a bit more. Now, again, at this point, we've done quite a lot. But we still need quite a few more things to do. So, what we need to do firstly is to add our if-then block. We need another if-then block. So I'll go back to control. This time not if then else, but just a simple if then block. And this time I want to check if it is touching the edge or touching the player. Then we want to switch the backdrop to the end backdrop, because the player shouldn't really be touching the edge. So now I'm going to check if touching edge or touching player, but because we need the OR, I need an operator. We go to the OR, look for an operator. I'm going to say if touching edge or touching player 2, if touching the edge or touching player 2, then we want to switch the backdrop to the other one. Remember, we drew a backdrop. I think maybe I have deleted it. We drew this backdrop yesterday, and it's the game over backdrop. So that's what we're gonna have to use now. So if touching edge or touching the player 2, we want to switch backdrop to game over. And at the same time, we want to stop every other thing in the sprite. Stop all. What's that? Should be somewhere here. Sometimes it can be really tasking to look for all this. Okay, now we have done this, but we still need to react to one broadcast message, the attack broadcast message. So let's do that as well. So to do that, you say when I receive. You already broadcast the message, and remember I told us in our live video yesterday, that we use the broadcast message to communicate between sprites. So when you send a broadcast message, it means all the sprites contained in your Scratch program is well aware of that broadcast message, and then you can react to that by using a special block that says when I receive a particular broadcast message. Let me quickly switch the backdrop back to the regular black one and go back to the enemy sprite and back to code, and now I'll say when I receive attack. There we go. Now when we receive attack, we want to do quite a few things. Let me try to scroll down. Yeah, again, we need a forever loop, and we need to repeat certain things. Now you have to check consistently how many times you repeat this, but if you practice it, you might notice, if you click the correct thing, you might notice that you need to repeat it at least 8 times. At least 8 times before you move before you wait 1 second and then you move 10 steps. But instead of waiting 1 second, I think we can do something really nice. Remember that speed variable we created earlier? I think we can use that here as well. So instead, we'll wait 1 second. We wait speed seconds. And at the same time, we can then move 10 steps. Again, let me try to roll this down. Now, after this, we can now wait another 1 second before changing y by -10 inside the forever loop. So now let's go. We'll wait for 1 second, this time inside the forever loop. And after waiting for 1 second, we need to change y by a negative value so that it goes back up. So okay. Let's look for that. I think this is it. So I'm going to change y by a negative value -10. I think this should be perfect. Again, we repeat another 8 times. Basically, you have to repeat this one more time. So again, I'll repeat 8 times. I'll wait speed seconds inside of the repeat 8. So I'll bring this, basically repeating what we did earlier. So I'll wait speed seconds. I'll wait speed seconds, then I'll move 10 steps. Instead of moving 10 steps, now I'll move -10 steps. Negative. -10 steps. And again, I'll wait for 1 second. Let's make it even nicer. Wait for speed seconds instead. So let's make it nicer. Wait for speed seconds instead. And again, you change y. Number. So I'll say change y. Let's look for that. Yeah. Change y by a negative number. Say -10. And now let us move on to creating the bullet for the enemy. This should be pretty fun and easy. First, as we did for the player's bullet, is basically what we're going to do for the enemy bullet, except in the reverse. Where we have positives for the player bullet, we're going to have negatives for the enemy bullet. Or we have negatives for the player bullet, we're going to have positives for the enemy bullet. So first, when green flag clicked, I need to hide because I don't want the bullet showing immediately. So I'll need to look for the hide block. Here we go. And then I need to do a few things. I have to add, when I start as a clone, I need to go to bullet X and Y. So I'm going to also do a few things that when I start as a clone. Okay, yep, here we go. So when the enemy starts as a clone, right? We're going to go to a few steps, go to XY, there we go. Now let's create two variables. We're going to bullet at X and bullet at Y. We're going to call them bullet at X and bullet at Y so that we can go to the enemies dynamically. So I'm going to create them. Bullets at X. I'm going to create another one. Bullet at Y. So now I'm gonna go to bullet X, Y, bullet Y. There we go. And now we can show the bullets. The show block. If you want, you can also add a sound if you like. For me, maybe I should just add it. I started the sound, and again, I need some control loops. So I'm gonna say repeat until. Remember what we talked about, the repeat until loop. It says it repeats a certain condition or certain act until a certain condition is met. And again, we want to repeat this condition until we touch the edge or the enemy bullet touch the player. Remember, for the player's bullet, we repeat it until it touches enemy or touching edge. But for the enemy bullet now, it's the reverse. We will repeat until touching player or touching edge. I hope you get that now. So I'm gonna need an operator, an OR operator. So also go to sensing. We'll say repeat until touch. Until touching. I need another one. So repeat until touching edge or touching player. Where's the edge? There we go. Now, what we want to repeat, we want the bullet to keep coming down, so it's basically gonna keep dropping. So that's change Y by a negative number for it to drop. So yeah. Now I don't want to change it by 10 so that it doesn't drop too quickly. So I'm gonna change it by -5. Then after that, then I can delete the clone. I can always add the block that says delete this clone. Then I can add a block that says delete this clone. There we go. Now after that, I think we've been able to create codes for almost everything except for maybe the UFO. So let's quickly try to do that. Now the UFO is totally optional. It's not compulsory. I just decided to add this as an extra, and if you like, you can also add that. And one more thing, if you want to hide all your variables from showing on your screen, which I totally recommend, here's how to do it. You go to variables and you make sure you uncheck everything. There we go. All right, and now back to trying to oops, I should so pardon me. Let's just try to add the code for the UFO. It's just an extra bit of code. You can totally end at this point. As you can see, our game works as we want it to. So let's just quickly add some bits of code for the UFO and we'll be done. Now let's add these blocks first. We add the when green flag clicked block, and of course we want to hide the UFO when the green flag is clicked. We don't want to see that immediately. I need to look for the hide block, and again we'll go to the forever loop, and this time we need an if then block. Now if touching the player's bullet, so we want to add that if it touches the player's bullet, then if you want you can play a sound, otherwise you can hide. But let's see, let's firstly play a sound. Let's go to sound, start sound. Yep, there you go. start sound. This I don't know what sound that is, but you can totally select anyone. Then we hide, and of course remember we have to change the score variable as well by say maybe 500. So when you hit the UFO, then you change the score to by 500. So let's see. We need to look for the block that says change score. Yeah, there we go. Change score by a large number. We just need a large number so that it feels different when you hit the UFO. So I'm going to change that by say 500, and at the same time I'm going to go back to more conditions. I'm going to check if kills is 0. If let me try to roll this down. If kills equals 0, that's what I want to check now. So I need my operator. So now I'll go back to the variable that says kills. If kills equals 0 and not 50, then we want to hide. The hide block is always hiding. And at the same time, if kills equals 41, then we still want to hide. That means you've hidden everything. You've hidden it when you're just starting, and at the same time you've hidden it when you've ended the game. So let's also do that. Oops. If kills equals 41, if kills equals 41, then we want to hide. The hide block is always hidden. And at the same time, you don't just want to hide, you probably would love to stop every other script in the sprite. So let's try to stop every other script in the sprite. Yep. Stop other scripts in the sprite. Here we go. There we go. Now, still on the UFO. I think, yep. Now, still on the UFO, let's do something when we receive the broadcast message attack. I mean, we already broadcast the message attack. We can as well do something with it. So let's say when I receive attack, let's see, I have to look for that block. It says when I receive, yeah, somewhere here. When I receive attack, you have to look for it carefully. Yeah, there we go. When I receive attack, you want to hide first. There's a lot we can do with the hide and show block. It makes it look a lot more professional than it ordinarily is. So now, having added the hide block, we can go on with writing codes that we want to run every single time. Let me try to scroll up so that you can see my code clearly. Now in the forever loop, I want to wait for a random number of seconds, say between 35 and 45. So I'm just going to add the wait block. But instead of waiting 1 second, I want to wait for a random number of seconds, say between 35 and say 45. Then you add the block that says go to, so that you're able to immediately start from a particular position on your screen. So go to X, let's say 200, and Y say 160. Let's say negative 200, and Y was, I think Y is perfect, 160. Then we can now show it. Again, if you want, you can add the sound. If you want, that is, you can add the sound, and then you can add your repeat until touching edge, because it's always going to be moving. So at some point in the forever loop, we're going to add blocks to help our UFO constantly move. So first, we'll add the block that says repeat until touching edge. Let's look for that. Repeat until, and the condition is touching edge. Repeat until touching edge, and then we want to change the value of x by also a random number, but let's do it quite differently. So we'll change x by a random number, but instead of just any random number, let's do it like this. This is a negative sign, so I'll change x by 4 minus whatever my speed is. So it's a speed, and I'm gonna say 4 minus whatever my speed is, then I can hide. And again, I want to wait for another random second between 35 and 45, basically what I did earlier, but this time in the other direction. So I've hidden. Let me try to scroll down, and again, now I'll look for the wait block. I'll wait for a random number between 35 and 45. 35 and 45. 35 and 45, and at the same time I'll go to x. This time, instead of negative 200, I'll make it positive 200. And y should still remain 160, and again I'll show, and if you like, you can start the sound. Show, and if you like, you can play the sound. So let's just try to add a sound. Let's use the same sound since it's still the same UFO. And again, I'll need another repeat until block, repeat until touching edge. Basically what I have here now. So repeat until touching edge. You want the negative sign, you want the change x by, let's do that. Change x by is what we do. We add our operator, the negative symbol operator. But I'll need another one. I don't think one negative operator is fine because I need 3 variables. Okay, let's do it like this. Yeah, I think this will be better. So change x by 4 minus speed. 4 minus speed. And then you can also, you guessed right, you can also hide. Now at this point, it's safe to say you can totally test your game, see what it looks like, and if you have with everything that you've done, you'll be able to get exactly what you see. As you can see, you're able to the enemy sprite. Everything works perfectly. So thank you for joining us in Flourishfield Academy live session today, and we've been able to create the Space Invaders game. I'm just gonna save it, Space Invaders. We've been able to make the Space Invaders game live, and this is just one of the so many interesting and really fun game we have for you at Flourishfield Academy, all for free during this summer camp. So do well to always remember to hit the like button and hit the notification bell so that you'll always be notified when we have our live sessions coming up. Now, see you guys tomorrow. We still have a live session tomorrow at the same time. So do well to join us tomorrow at the same time, and see you. Bye bye for now. See you soon.